Unfortunately, the tragedy that many of us anticipated as a part of the chaotic collapse of our situation in Afghanistan came to fruition today, and 12 American soldiers lost their lives during an ISIS attack. According to the Pentagon, who had a spokesperson, a general, speaking from a Pentagon presser earlier this afternoon, I jotted down a couple of notes. 12 killed, 15 injured. ISIS, two different suicide bombers, they believed, blew themselves up, or one did near one of the entry points at the airport. They think another one may have near a hotel. And then in the wake of that suicide bombing, also, terrorists opened fire on our troops, and 12 of them were killed, 15 of them were injured, many Afghans also killed in that terror attack. It's incompetence on an unprecedented scale by the Joe Biden White House. Let me just say this right off the top. I don't root against any president. I want every president to have success. Joe Biden right now, through 8 months, is the worst president that we've seen during my life. I am 42 years old. I don't believe that he can hardly do the job. He can barely read off of a teleprompter right now. If you watch him walking around, he's a liability. Let's be honest. He does not have the ability to do the job. I don't think he can make it 4 years. I'm not sure he can make it another year. Kamala Harris is even more disliked than Joe Biden, and all of this is horribly unfortunate. We have been saying that Joe Biden might be Jimmy Carter 2.0. That's largely based on the inflation issues that are confronting our country right now, but I think we're being unkind to Jimmy Carter, because Jimmy Carter was in complete control of his faculties and was able to execute the office of Commander-in-Chief. I frankly don't believe that Joe Biden can. And I think more Americans would have been aware of this if their entire presidential campaign hadn't been predicated on putting Joe Biden in a basement and waiting for COVID to run its course. As a result, he barely had to talk. He barely had to do any public events. And we're seeing that now. He can barely answer questions. He can barely read off of the teleprompter. And the result is disasters like you are seeing befall us in Afghanistan. This is worse than Saigon in 1975. This is worse than Benghazi. This is the biggest American foreign policy disaster of my life. And it is an ugly incident that did not have to go this way. It's a failure of the Biden administration. I mean, just yesterday, the Biden administration was arguing that they deserved props for how well this evacuation had gone. They got everything wrong. They didn't think the Taliban were going to take over this country. The Pentagon spokesperson said, and I can't believe that this is the real world, that we're relying on the Taliban to help protect our troops. The Taliban are terrorists. They are the people who gave safe harbor to Osama bin Laden. One of the Taliban's top leaders just went on for an interview and said he doesn't believe that Osama bin Laden was actually involved in the 9/11 terror attacks. All of this is madness, and evidently Joe Biden is supposed to speak at 5 o'clock Eastern today, but he's been silent all throughout the day today. I don't know how this ends. I'm certain that it's not going to end well. We're only 8 months in, and the Biden administration has completely collapsed. Their approval rankings have cratered, and those of us who voted for Donald Trump and said that Joe Biden was not up to the challenge of being president of the United States are being validated in real time. The challenge here is, if Joe Biden were to resign or step down because he's incompetent and incapable of handling the job right now, Kamala Harris would take over and things might get worse. Kamala Harris is arguably doing as bad of a job or a worse job than Joe Biden. She's less well-liked by the American public than even Joe Biden is. It's incompetence on a global scale. And look, I understand some people were angry about Donald Trump and the tweets that he would send, but those tweets would have an impact right now. The Taliban and ISIS would be afraid of what Donald Trump would do to them. Ask Soleimani in Iran about what Donald Trump will do, if anything, he would rain down holy hell upon them. I would like to see some mean tweets for a change. The Democratic Party has allowed itself to be captured by an effete, left-wing, frankly, emasculated blue checkmark brigade that is only concerned about feelings and thinks that if you send a sternly worded letter to the Taliban, it's going to impact things. Big, strong, violent people are not as impacted by words as we would like them to be. And I say that as someone who makes a living partly as a writer. You need to confront violence sometimes with violence. You need to confront terrorists not with negotiation strategies, but with a violent response that lets them know that we will not stand for their failures. Look, whether or not you liked George W. Bush, he wouldn't stand for what happened in Afghanistan. Whether or not you liked Barack Obama, he wouldn't stand for what just happened what has been happening in Afghanistan. Remember that Joe Biden advised Barack Obama against the raid that killed Osama bin Laden. And also, whether or not you like Donald Trump, you have to know that he would not be standing for what's going on right now. Heck, I don't think even Hillary Clinton would. This is a mess. Joe Biden is a disaster. And I legitimately question whether he has the mental faculties at this point in time to be the president of the United States. And I defy you to watch him in a press conference squint and read off of a teleprompter and think to yourself, this is a guy who's making really good decisions on behalf of America, whether you're a Democrat, Republican, or an independent. This disaster is absolutely awful.